I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, let alone admit it publicly, but here I am. My name's Mark, and for the last few days my entire world has been turned upside down. I always knew marriage was a gamble. Hell, I even joked about it sometimes. But I never really expected my wife, Lisa, to betray me like this. Not at our wedding reception of all times. That moment still haunts me. It's burned into my memory, the way her lips pressed against her boss's, right in front of everyone. How did I not see the signs? It started months ago, little things that seemed innocent enough at first. She'd stay late at work more often than she should, excuses about meetings, reports, just trying to get ahead. I let it slide. I hate sounding paranoid. But then I'd notice her phone lighting up at weird times, no notifications, no calls, just texts. She'd excuse herself, whispering just work stuff, and I'd catch the faint blush on her cheeks afterward. Nothing concrete, but enough to tighten my stomach like a fist. I brushed it off, told myself I was overreacting. Maybe she was stressed, maybe I was. Just insecure, but deep down I knew better. The wedding itself was supposed to be a celebration. Everyone was happy, the sun was shining, and I was mostly nervous. What if I'd made a mistake? But I'd been trying to focus on the good. Lisa looked stunning, her dress hugging her curves, her hair falling in soft waves. We exchanged vows, and I felt that rush of happiness, that this is forever feeling. Until that moment. The moment I saw her lean in, her lips brushing against her boss's cheek. I saw the way he looked at her, the way she responded. It was unmistakable. And then the worst part, the texts. I found her phone tucked into her purse during a quiet moment. I just wanted to see if she'd been sneaking around. I wasn't planning to read everything, just a quick peek. But what I saw sent my stomach twisting. There were dozens of messages, flirty, suggestive, intimate. They weren't just hey, how, work kinds of texts. No, they were more. The way she described him as my savior and how she missed being with someone who understands her. That was the nail in the coffin. I remember clutching her phone so tight my fingers ached. My vision blurred and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I couldn't breathe. I had to get out of there fast. I left the reception, my head spinning, stomach churning. Once I was outside, I just stood there in the cool evening air trying to process what I'd just seen. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought everyone could hear it. How the hell did I miss the signs? Did I really not want to see what was right in front of me? That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. The kiss, the texts, her secretive glances. I kept thinking about how she'd lied to my face all along. I'd trusted her, believed in us. But trust, that's gone now, completely shattered. How do you come back from something like this? How do you even begin to trust her again? The worst part is, I don't even know if I want to try. I want to believe there's a way to fix this, to forgive her, but the betrayal runs so deep. Every time I close my eyes, I see her with him, her. Lips on his cheek, the way she whispered in her phone late at night. I feel this burning knot in my stomach, a mix of rage and heartbreak. It's like I've been punched in the gut. I've never felt so empty. I keep asking myself if I should confront her. Maybe just lay everything out on the table, tell her I know, demand answers. But part of me is scared of what that might unleash. I don't know if I'm ready for her to deny it, or, worse, admit everything and still not care. I want her to feel the weight of what she's done, to realize how badly she's hurt me. That's why I started planning my move. I can't let this slide quietly, not anymore. I need a plan, something that will send a message, but I also need to be smart. I don't want her to see it coming. Right now, I'm just trying to breathe through the anger. It's like a hot flame in my chest, and I keep clenching my fists until my knuckles turn white. How did I get here? How did I miss all the signs? I was supposed to protect what we had. But somehow she slipped through my fingers. And now, I'm left in a shambles trying to figure out my next move. I know I should be calm, but I feel like I've been set on fire from the inside out. Tomorrow, I'll start executing my plan. I don't know exactly what it will be yet, but I know it'll be something she won't forget. And when the moment comes, I'll be ready to confront her, face to face, no more hiding. I just need to figure out how to turn this pain into something that hits back twice as hard. That's the only way I see to regain some control. For now, I'll keep the evidence hidden, my mind racing and my heart pounding. Because once I cross that line, there's no going back. The trust is gone. The betrayal is real. And now I have to decide whether I'll walk away or fight for what's left of us. The morning hit like a freight train. I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a truck, my head pounding and my stomach twisted into knots. All night I replayed everything: the kiss, the texts, her secret late-night conversations. I could shake the feeling that I'd been living in a fog, and now that the truth was out, I was seeing everything clearly, or at least as clearly as I could while drowning in rage and heartbreak. I made myself a strong cup of coffee, black and bitter, the way I needed my feelings to be. Sitting there at the kitchen table, I stared at my phone, debating whether I should call her or just wait. My hands were slick with sweat. My mind kept flashing back to that moment at the reception, the way her lips pressed against him like she was trying to erase me, like I was invisible. That image kept circling in my head, each iteration darker, more unforgiving. I finally decided I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I needed to confront her this morning before she had a chance to spin anything or clean up her mess. I picked up my phone and texted her. "We need to talk. Now." The words felt heavy, like I was carrying a boulder I couldn't put down. I didn't specify what about. I just knew I had to see her face and get some answers. Within minutes, she responded, "I'm busy. Can we do it tonight?" I clenched my jaw. No way I was waiting that long. I shot back, "No, now, or I'll come find you." Her reply was a hesitant "okay," and that's when I knew she was starting to realize I wasn't messing around. When she finally walked into the kitchen, her face was tired, eyes flickering with apprehension. She looked like she knew I found out, but she didn't want to believe I saw everything. I held her gaze, feeling my fists tighten at my sides. I wanted to scream, but I kept my voice steady. "Lisa," I said, my voice low but firm, "I saw everything. The kiss, the texts, don't try to deny it." She froze, her eyes darting away for a second before she said, "It's not what you think. Don't lie to me," I snapped, cutting her off. "I know you've been sneaking around for months. I found your phone, all the messages, the way you behave at work, how you act like you're hiding something." She swallowed hard, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. "It just happened. I was lonely, stressed. I didn't want to hurt you." That made me laugh bitterly. "You didn't want to hurt me, so you decided to kiss your boss at our wedding reception and pretend everything's fine. That's pretty damn thick, Lisa." She looked like she might cry, but I was beyond caring. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I'd been betrayed by the one person I trusted most in this world. How could she do this? How could she pretend everything was okay earlier, as if she hadn't just destroyed us? "I don't know what I want anymore," she muttered. "I love you, Mark, I really do, but I don't know how to fix this." "Fix it?" I spat. "You think just saying you love me is going to undo what's been done? You've been lying behind my back for months. That's not just a mistake, that's an attack, and I don't know if I can come back from that." Her eyes welled up with tears and she reached out, trembling. "Please, give me a chance." I stepped back, feeling the rage surge through me. "No, I can't do this anymore. I need time to think." Before I could finish, she blurted, "You're going to leave me, aren't you?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to say yes, to walk away and never look back. But a bigger part wanted revenge, something she'd never see coming. I knew then that I had to plan my next move carefully. I couldn't just walk out, I had to send a message. As she looked at me with pleading eyes, I knew I had to make her understand one thing. I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. Not after everything. I wasn't just going to let her walk away and pretend it didn't happen. I needed to show her that betrayal comes with consequences, that she'd have to pay a price for what she'd done. Later that day, I started digging into her phone and her online accounts. I needed proof, something concrete, something she wouldn't be able to deny or spin. I found chat logs, photos, little things that confirmed everything I already knew. I printed screenshots and saved them securely. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, and I wanted her to know I was serious about fighting back. That night, as she sat on the couch, nervously tapping her fingers, I finally laid out my plan. I explained exactly how I was going to handle this, how I was going to make her regret her choices, without crossing into anything violent or destructive. I wanted her to understand that I was capable of much more than she thought, that her betrayal wasn't going to go unpunished. She looked at me, eyes filled with fear and regret. She whispered, "You're going to destroy everything." I smiled coldly. "No, Lisa, I'm just going to make sure you remember what you lost and that you don't get a free pass next time you decide to cheat." It was the beginning of my revenge, something calculated, cold, and precise. I wasn't going to break her physically, but I'd make her feel the pain of betrayal in ways she'd never forget. The clock was ticking, and I knew I'd have my moment soon. The question was, how far was I willing to go? And if I was prepared to cross that line, the consequences would be mine to bear. The plan I laid out that night was simple but ruthless. I knew I couldn't confront her directly with everything all at once. She'd deny, spin, or worse, hide even more. I had to be strategic. So I started gathering everything I needed, screenshots of the messages, photos of the two of them at the reception, even some of the gift receipts she'd kept from her office. I wanted proof she couldn't deny, evidence that would hit her where it hurt. I also decided I'd need a backup. Someone I could trust, someone who could help me, maybe even act as an intermediary if things went south. But I kept that idea to myself. I didn't want her to catch wind of it. Instead, I focused on my own subtle tactics. The next day I began small. I made sure her phone was always within reach, but I'd sneak peeks when she wasn't looking, just to keep tabs on her. Every message, every call, every new contact. I didn't want her to think I was paranoid, but I had to know if she was trying to cover her tracks. Turns out she was. I caught her deleting her chat history, which only confirmed I was onto something. One thing I did that I think really got her rattled: on her birthday, I left a small, anonymous gift on her desk at work. Nothing big, just a card that read, "I know what you did, we're not done yet." I knew it'd push her into a corner. Her reaction was priceless. She looked around nervously, her face paling when she saw it. That moment right there made me realize I had her exactly where I wanted her, scared, cornered, and vulnerable. The worst part, she started getting defensive. She called me crazy and paranoid, accusing me of spying on her. That was her typical response, the blame shift, but I knew her game now. She was trying to keep her composure, but I could see the cracks in her facade. She was losing control, and I was loving every second of it. The more she denied, the more I reminded myself that she was the one who crossed the line first, not me. She was the one who betrayed us, not the other way around. I decided I needed one final push. I wanted her to feel the full weight of her actions, to see that I wasn't just going to let her get away with it. That meant I had to be bold. I sent her a carefully crafted message, one that hinted I knew everything, but in a way that forced her to confront her guilt. I told her I had proof, that the truth was out, and that she needed to come clean before I did something I'd regret. Her response was a long silence. Then a text that read, "I don't know what you're talking about." I chuckled bitterly. I'd already seen her trembling, seen her lie. She was trying to deny everything, but I knew better. She was cornered now, and I was just about ready to make my move. I had everything I needed, and I was certain she was starting to realize that her perfect little facade was cracking apart. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. I had all my evidence ready: screenshots, texts, photos. I'd spend the next day setting up my final move. She'd probably never see it coming. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was going to be the moment I showed her she couldn't lie and cheat her. Way out of this, not anymore. I told myself I'd be patient. I'd wait until I was absolutely sure she was alone or vulnerable. Because when I finally confronted her, I wanted her to see that I was serious, dead serious. That I wasn't just some fool who'd shrug and forgive her after a quick apology. No, this would be her wake-up call. But even as I prepared, a tiny voice in my head kept asking, what happens if she breaks and admits everything? Or worse, what if she fights back harder? I knew I had to be ready for anything. I had to keep my cool and stick to the plan. Because once I made my move, there was no going back. And what I hadn't told anyone yet, what I hadn't fully admitted to myself, was that I was already imagining the aftermath. How I'd pack her bags, how I'd tell her to leave, how I'd start over. I kept thinking about her face when she realized I was done. That's what kept me going, the promise of closure, even if it meant ruin for her. I was tired of feeling powerless, tired of feeling like I was just a fool for trusting her. Now I had the ammunition, I had the truth, and I was about to use it. All I needed was the right moment, one where she'd be caught completely off guard. And when that moment finally arrived, she'd realize what betrayal truly costs. That day, I woke up feeling like I was walking a tightrope. Everything was quiet, too quiet. I knew she was working late again, texting, probably hiding something. I'd been watching her like a hawk, waiting for the right time. Early in the afternoon, I decided that enough was enough. I couldn't wait any longer. I'd set everything in motion. I remembered what I had prepared the night before, an envelope with all the evidence, a detailed plan of how I was going to confront her. I kept it hidden in a drawer, just waiting for the perfect moment. Today, I was going to show her that I knew everything, that I'd caught her in her own web of lies. I also made sure I had my phone fully charged and ready to record, just in case she decided to deny or escalate. When she finally came home around 6 p.m., I could see the tension in her shoulders. Her eyes flicked nervously to her phone and her hands trembled slightly when she set down her bag. I forced myself to stay calm, voice even, but inside I was simmering with controlled fury. "I need to talk," I said directly, crossing my arms. Her eyes widened and she hesitated like she knew what was coming. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I pulled out the envelope from the drawer and placed it on the table. "This," I said, voice low but steady, "is everything I found. The screenshots, the messages, the photos of you and him at the reception. I wanted you to see it all. This isn't going away, Lisa. You've been lying to my face for months." Her face drained of color. Her hands flew to her mouth and she looked like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. I saw her eyes dart to the evidence and then back to me, searching for an excuse, a way out. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you do this? How could you kiss him at our wedding and then keep texting him behind my back?" She swallowed hard, tears pooling in her eyes. I don't know," she whispered. "I was so stressed. I felt trapped. I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Didn't mean?" I echoed, voice rising. "That's bullshit, Lisa. You knew exactly what you were doing. You lied, you cheated, and you betrayed everything we had. And you think I'm just supposed to forgive you?" She looked at me, eyes wide and pleading. "Please, Mark, I love you. I messed up, but I want to fix this." I shook my head, feeling the heat rise in my chest. "You want to fix it? You need to understand that fixing this isn't just about words, it's about consequences." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small recorder I'd turned on earlier. I pressed play, and her voice, caught on a recent message, filled the room. Her words, flirtatious, suggestive, confirmed everything I'd suspected. Her face twisted with panic. "You see this?" I said coldly. "This is what you've been hiding. You lied to me every step of the way, Lisa, and I'm not going to let it slide." I paused, then added, "You need to understand that this isn't just about cheating. It's about respect, trust, something you completely threw away." She was crying now, clutching her head, trying to deny it all, but she knew she was caught. No more lies, no more pretending. I'd made sure of that. I calmly took the envelope, closed it, and pushed it toward her. "You can't deny what you've done, but I want you to know I've prepared for this. I've thought about everything, and I'm ready to walk away if that's what it takes." Her voice cracked as she begged, "Please don't do this. I'll do anything to make it right." "No," I said quietly. "It's too late for that, Lisa. I've already made my decision." I reached over and took my keys from the counter. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the raw emotion of it all. I looked at her one last time, feeling a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. This was the moment I'd been planning for my final move. Before I left, I turned to her and said, "You had your chance. Now I'm taking mine." I handed her the keys to her car and told her to leave. I didn't want her near me anymore. As I watched her walk out the door, tears streaming down her face, I knew this was the end of us. I felt a strange mixture of emptiness and clarity. I'd finally done what I needed to do. The betrayal was out in the open, and I'd made my choice. Sometimes the only way to regain control is to take the first step, to remove what hurts you most. And that's exactly what I did. I turned my back on her, knowing I'd never forget what happened, but also knowing I'd start rebuilding from that moment forward. The house felt eerily silent after she left. That was the first night I slept alone in a long time. I sat on the couch, staring at the empty space where she used to sit, feeling the weight of everything I'd uncovered. My mind kept racing. Did I do the right thing? Was there any way to salvage this, or was she already gone for good? In the quiet, I finally allowed myself to feel everything I'd been suppressing. The anger, the betrayal, the heartbreak. It was like a tidal wave, crashing over me. I clenched my fists, feeling my palms sweat, and tried to breathe through it. I told myself, this is what needed to happen. She betrayed us and I had to show her I wouldn't accept it. But even as I repeated that, part of me wondered if I'd gone too far. Had I become the villain in my own story? The next day, I started the process of cleaning up the mess. I made calls, canceled her accounts, and changed my passwords. I knew she'd try to delete or hide evidence, so I kept every screenshot, saved every message, and backed it all up securely. I wasn't planning to let her erase what she'd done, not without consequences. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer to discuss my options. I wanted to make sure I was legally protected, especially if she decided to fight back. The lawyer listened carefully, then said, "Given the evidence, you have a strong case for divorce. It's best to keep things straightforward and avoid any unnecessary conflict. But I can also help you get a restraining order if she becomes problematic." Hearing those words made everything feel real. I'd been holding on to hope that maybe, just maybe, we could fix this. But the cold truth was, trust was broken beyond repair. I was ready to move on, to start fresh, alone if I had to. I told the lawyer I wanted to file immediately. No delays. Back home, I started packing some of my belongings. I didn't want to drag things out, especially with her gone. As I packed, I reflected on how I'd gotten here. I kept seeing her face, pleading, crying, trying to manipulate her way out of it. But I knew her game now. I saw through her lies, her secrets. This wasn't just about cheating, it was about a fundamental breach of everything I believed in. The final act was simple but decisive. I took her keys, her phone, and her personal stuff, then put it all in a box. I left it by the door with a note. "You crossed a line, don't try to contact me, this is over." I knew she might come back, try to apologize, beg for forgiveness, but I was done waiting. I was done trusting. When I closed the door for the last time, I felt an odd sense of relief, mixed with emptiness. It was like finally exhaling after holding my breath for too long. I knew there would be hard days ahead, but at least now I was in control. I'd made a choice, a clear line in the sand. Later that day, I sat outside with a beer, watching the sunset paint the sky in reds and oranges. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew one thing: I'd never let someone betray me like that again. Trust, once broken, isn't easily repaired. But I could rebuild, stronger, wiser, and more cautious than before. This whole experience taught me something important. Sometimes, the only way to truly take back your life is to cut the poison out completely. You can't fix what's broken if you keep holding on to it. So I walked away, leaving the wreckage behind, and started to think about what's next. A new chapter on my terms. And that's how I know. When someone shows you they're willing to betray you, the best revenge is simply walking away, with your head held high. Sitting here now, a few weeks after everything went down, I realize I've never felt lighter. The house is quiet, my mind clearer than it's been in months. I've kept my distance from old friends who knew her, and I've been focusing on myself, rebuilding, healing, figuring out what I want next. That whole ordeal taught me a hard lesson about trust and the cost of betrayal, but it also showed me what I'm capable of when I refuse to be the victim. I still feel the sting of what she did, the rawness of that betrayal. Some nights, I catch myself wondering if I should have fought harder, if I could have saved what was left. But honestly, deep down, I know I did the right thing. I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay, not after finding her kissing her boss at our wedding reception and then secretly texting him for months. That was the final nail. Letting go was the hardest part, but it was also the most freeing. I handed her the keys, told her to leave, and never looked back. Watching her walk out that door, I felt a strange mixture of relief and regret. Relief because I was finally free from the lies, regret because I'd loved her once, genuinely. But love doesn't mean sticking around while someone tears your world apart. Now I focus on the future. I've started seeing a therapist, talking through everything: the betrayal, my anger, my heartbreak. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I've come to understand that trusting again will take time, maybe a long time, but I'll get there. The scars will fade, but they'll remind me to be more cautious, more guarded. That's okay. I'd rather be cautious than blind again. Looking back, I realized that revenge in the end wasn't about making her suffer. It was about reclaiming my life, taking control when I felt helpless and betrayed. Sometimes, real strength isn't in fighting back with fists or words, but in walking away and refusing to let someone's betrayal define you. I won't forget what she did, but I refuse to let it control my future. So I took her keys, handed over the house, and sent her on her way. I filed for divorce, and I'm moving forward. It's not easy, and I know I'll carry some scars, but I also know I won't be a victim anymore. I'll build something new, something stronger, knowing the warning signs and trusting myself more. The biggest lesson I've learned: sometimes the only way to truly protect yourself is to cut out the poison completely. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I chose to walk away and take back my life. And honestly, it's the best decision I ever made.